do you do, fellow YouTubers? My name's Bunzo. I'm happy to announce, after properly securing my voice actor in his chambers and forcefully carving out the time in my schedule this summer break, I am finally ready to make my breakout onto this platform. Who am I, might you ask? Why do I look like a poorly rendered shonen antagonist or straight out of some Bara manga? Good questions. I am what you call a VTuber, a virtual content creator with about as much personality as I have dimensions. Unlike many other VTubers of my kind, I do not in fact look like I belong in a boy band or sport the fuckboy haircut, but instead lean into the much less popular niche of muscle-bound idiot. I know that it may not get me as many viewers, but truly this is a much better representation of my inner self than any other could be. For my first video on this channel, I have chosen to review a once extremely niche, unpolished, and janky game that is near and dear to my heart that I have wasted 55 hours in to date. It's been recently getting a lot more attention, and I figured it would be better to do it now rather than later. I aim to set a standard here with this first video. That standard is that there are no standards for what we review or what we upload. I will do what I want, how I want, with no clear guidelines or considerations.
Oh shit, I'm sorry.
I am anything but professional and will make it my goal on this channel to show this. In fact, anything and everything I say in this review could be false or entirely made up. To prove this, I will now go through a clear set of areas when reviewing this game. In The Long Drive, you are the survivor of an unknown apocalypse that took place in an alternate timeline during the 1970s. Your mother has sent you a letter asking you to visit during these trying times. The only problem is she is located a short 3,000 kilometers away. Do what you must to survive this arduous journey, where the biggest threat to your existence is not the flesh-eating rabbits, irradiated crazed survivors, or the threat of running out of supplies, but instead how long until the game completely bricks itself, or even the laws of nature have deteriorated in this long-forgotten wasteland. This is the true story of The Long Drive. Now look, I'll be honest with you, there isn't much to work with here. This is a game developed by what seems to be two guys in Hungary and gets about as many updates per year as I do fleeting moments of human contact. And yet that therein lies the beauty of this game. The story is up to you to discover and for the most part make it up. Through the radio, you can get snippets of the horrible apocalyptic world where radio hosts scream about their day-to-day lives and feud with other radio hosts.
So good to be here, so good to live here. Well, I don't tell you, I am sure you would like to know my address and get to know me, but can't do that, honey. I heard about this Giuseppe guy that confused the Hungarian sausage with an Italian, but man, honestly, I don't care. That man is so sexy. My god, that voice. If that voice had an ass, it would be sexy as hell. He could confuse my sausage with any other country's sausage, and I would love it.
Which can both give you tidbits to gather your own theories on what the story is or could be. I personally believe that A Long Drive takes place in Purgatory, and our journey across the barren wastelands is a test of mental will, where every object collision or simple act of turning the wheel could mean death with a game that is roughly as stable as any unpatched Bethesda game.
Rendering technology.
I don't know why I have this. I'm gonna choose to scrap this segment, besides this last footnote. The general sound effects are what you would expect from something that looks like this. Whether it's stock sound effects or ones recorded in this guy's bathroom, don't expect anything groundbreaking, but that again is part of the charm for me. Makes me feel like I'm in a fake video game way more that way.
It's a very fun game, and the graphics, that's really what this is all about.
Some people may look at The Long Drive and criticize its exterior. Some might call this ugly, poorly crafted, ineffective. I disagree. As an art student, I have the debt-riddled credentials to debate these points. I love the graphics in The Long Drive. It feels like a fever dream. Every bit of jank and gameplay that is baked into all other aspects of this game are reflected in its graphics. It is supposed to look like this for me. If it looked almost any other way, I have the strong belief that it would be nowhere near as enjoyable. I want it to feel as though I am in a poorly rendered 3D cutscene from the 90s. If the developer ever improves the graphics beyond what they are now, it will lose a piece of its soul, in my opinion. The atmosphere is truly something else. Those long car rides at night, the sky above you as you try to stay focused on the road, it all just blends together perfectly with the graphics given to us. If you are a fan of liminal spaces as well, you'll likely enjoy this game, as this is another aspect of the graphics that I think fits its aesthetics well. Now we get into the real meat and potatoes, the real gravy, the real femboy thought. Perhaps this is where my argument to get others to play this game may fall apart. Ultimately, the reveal is, there is no goal to the long drive. Your mother does not exist, the radio hosts do not exist. The literal point of this game is to drive as far as you can and dick around with vehicles like some sort of mechanic gone mad with power and a healthy dose of substance abuse. When you spawn, you are next to the road. This is the only road in the game, and it stretches on theoretically forever in one vague direction. You can choose whether or not to follow this road, but know if you actually do reach the end, there won't be anything waiting for you. Driving off-road eventually becomes a game of how long you can go before you try to swerve a rock, fail, and subsequently get flung body and soul into the next life. If you follow the road, you will find a much smoother journey, though still with a good chance to meet a violent fate when a pebble you thought you could just drive over makes you experience G-forces typically only found in fighter jets. As you go along, you'll have different types of buildings spawn, ranging from simple things such as a bus stop or fuel stations to larger buildings like haunted mansions or garages. The list of buildings is still somewhat short, however, and it won't take more than a few play sessions to see almost all of them. The main benefits of buildings are what they carry. Certain buildings will give you certain kinds of items to find, such as food, car parts, or knickknacks to carry along with you. And it is to be noted, if you follow the road, you'll have an easier time finding buildings as they spawn roughly some distance apart from each other, so you'll find them pretty often. Now we can address the core element of the long drive, your vehicle. Almost all major components of your vehicle are removable and replaceable. You can switch out the engine, tires, rims, hubcaps, hood, trunk, doors, seats, gas tanks, radiator, and probably some other things I'm forgetting. Want to change the color? Find a can of spray paint and give that bad boy a new look. Car looking a bit dirty? Use this magic spray to fix almost any issue, or a sponge and steel wire brush for anything else. Though, don't look too closely at what the spray is made of, unless you're planning to get some of that secret sauce yourself. If you really want to go the extra mile, you can also attach things to your car for a near infinite amount of options. Any Frankenstein of a vehicle is possible with enough patience and lack of fear for crashing the game because your oversized tire clipped into your car one too many times. There are also kinds of storage containers you can throw in there to keep your snacks nice and fresh. Besides vehicle maintenance and customization, you also have a chance to discover new vehicles from the one you start with. Currently, there is a decent range of old models in the game, as well as things like trucks or hot rods. Now, I want to say, things like buses do not exist in the long drive. Neither do fueling trucks or trailers. Do not approach them if you see them, for your own health and safety. These monstrosities have ended many lives as is. Oh, also, their fuel economy sucks, so there's that. Camera control is also interesting. You have first person, third person, God view, and can control the first person with a mouse if you so choose to disfigure and contort your body into new and strange places. It's nonsense and pointless, but still a nice feature for people who might be patient enough to use it for 6 music videos or actually good reviews. You can also piss and shit, because a road trip wouldn't be right if you weren't forced to stop at the side of the road for nature's call. Or embrace your inner trucker within, let one loose in the cab, and take care of it yourself by flinging it out the window. I should also mention the stability of this game. As I may have stated before, this thing runs like garbage. It's basically a slightly more advanced Gmod server in some areas, and an unoptimized Gmod server in others. The developer has addressed this in the most recent patch, and even admits the current code of the game is, to quote, like an overcomplicated rusty pipe system made of badly written moldy spaghetti code living in a dark basement with slimy, angry-looking spider creatures crawling on everything. So this hopefully will change in the future. If the game was already unstable in single player, multiplayer takes this to the next level. Whoever is the host will have a somewhat better experience, but any other players will experience the worst of the instability offered here. Whenever someone who isn't the host drives or rides shotgun, for example, they will see parallel universes of where you likely met a messy end, only for it to reset a half a second later. Continually. This is a feature. There's also a very high chance of desync that gradually seems to get worse the further out you drive from what I have experienced. Still, like most things, playing the game with friends does improve the experience overall. In multiplayer, passengers in the vehicle are also able to interact with the vehicle much the same as the driver can. For example, you can play silly pranks on each other, like pulling the steering wheel suddenly to the left or right to try to see how hard you can hit the oncoming telephone pole, or pulling off as many parts of the car that you can before your driver attempts to T-bone you passenger side first in an act of retribution. Pulling on the e-brake is my personal favorite. I genuinely hope they don't fix this, for having the option to end my friend's life and vice versa at any given moment only seems to improve our bonds. For the other issues though, I hope they improve the stability with the multiplayer because it's the best way to play in my opinion. You get to go on a road trip with the homies, what's not to love? That is pretty much it. There are only 2 mobs to kill in the game as of now, and neither are that threatening. If you are not a fan of aimlessly driving and slowly upgrading your vehicle with more crates to hold your rubber wives and snacks, this is likely not your cup of tea. However, I believe we need more games like this. This is a game that's only purpose is to provide us with a sandbox, toys, and the goal of fucking around. There are no quests or daily grind. Nothing is pushing you in one direction beyond the road itself. Even the survival aspects are so bare-boned they might as well not even be there. It is a game that prides itself in how fucked up it looks and plays, unashamedly shitting the bed and claiming full responsibility. I love it. And every bit of communication I have seen from the devs has reinforced my opinion that they are making this game for the fun of it and not just for the money.
What is it? What is the for shit? What was that? That's you on one of my cars.
When I play the long drive, I have no worries, no concerns, beyond the stretch of the road in front of me and seeing how fast I can go before I barrel into oblivion. It has captured something in me very few games have in our current gamerverse to such a degree that it is, unironically, currently my favorite game. This barely beating out a lesser-known title of Elden Ring. A shame, Miyazaki. Maybe he spent less time designing such an expansive world and more time wasting time you can keep up. The final score is 5 out of 5 Rubber Wives. Great game. Perfect for those of you who enjoy driving exceedingly long distances or seek nothing more than to waste our precious time on this planet. Would recommend it. Anyway, that's all for now. I may or may not upload in the future. I am sporadic and neurotic at the best of times, and these are not the best of times. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.